What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Greetings, everybody. I am Love Coach Scott Katamas, and it's the Friday night edition of The Awakening World. And it's wonderful to see so many people that we know and love in our Zoom room. And we've got about 80 people already watching on Unify. And so I want to welcome those of you watching on Unify, and I'll do my best to track the questions and comments you might have, but it's a lot easier if you come straight into our Zoom room, and it's easy to do that. So anybody watching on any of the 100 Facebook groups and pages, and thank you John and Summer Raymer for putting us out to so many people through the Sign Network. Thank you. Come on into our Zoom room directly, and here's how you do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and register. You'll get the links to all of our shows for the next 3 months just by registering once. Plus, we get your email address, and then every Monday we send the recordings of all of our previous shows. And we do shows on Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday morning. And we've got a phenomenal weekend planned. Also, let us know where you're from geographically. A lot of our regulars in the Zoom room, they know to do that. But for anybody who's new, whether you're in the Zoom room or watching on Facebook, or even watching on one of the YouTube channels, let us know where you are geographically. It's really fun. Our people from Unify, we have people from all over the world that come to us on Unify, and oftentimes in our Zoom room as well. Okay, let's talk about the show. As we all know, our planet is going through a lot, and we, the human race, are going through a lot. And we, in the Global Peace Tribe, which you're now a part of by watching this show, really do believe that it's an awakening world, an awakening humanity. And we are all about giving you the best tips, tools, and practices to make our way through these incredible times. I'm very blessed. I've gotten a chance to meet so many amazing people. And 2 of my favorite, relatively new people are going to be my guests tonight. And first and foremost is the amazing co-host that I get to share the weekend with, and this is Tangela. And Tangela, thank you for being with us. And do you want to take a moment to introduce Raquel?
Sure. So hi, Scott. Hi, everyone. It's always amazing to be here with all of you, Global Peace Tribe. So wonderful and much love to everyone. And I'm so excited to introduce my dear friend and soul sister, Raquel Spring. She is an incredible 4th generation astrologer from Brazil. And she really brings spirit and the quantum level to astrology to many, and from the eyes of the soul. She's based out of Sedona, Arizona, and she serves as a mentor. She writes and speaks about the greater evolution taking place on this planet. And she's really incredible because she is delivering these messages for our time from the astrological perspective. And she has such an incredible depth of knowledge. I always learn so much about what's happening in the world when I get to chat with Raquel. And we're just so excited to have you with us here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am super looking forward to this one. I really am. Thank you for having me on, Scott.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
Angela, it's lovely to be here with you.
Well, you know what happened, and a lot of you who are regulars saw it last weekend. We had Raquel on for a brief amount of time, and there were so many questions. As you're about to all discover, she is extraordinarily wise and eloquent. She's captivating in her ability to really share with us important information about astrology, and she makes it very easy to understand and very relatable to our lives. So many people had so many questions that right away we said, hey, can you come back next Friday night? And thank God she said yes. So we really are grateful to have you. And we have a lot of people who are joining us from Soul Search. So we're going to get to Raquel and questions in about 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But I do want to take a moment to introduce what Soul Search is all about. I'm going to start with this wonderful 2-minute video narrated by a wonderful woman.
During these extraordinary times, are you seeking friends and collaborators, like-minded, brilliant, beautiful souls who want to be a part of creating the new earth? Here is the answer. Welcome to Soul Search. Soul Search is the high-frequency global online destination for spirituality and consciousness, where people from around the globe like you come together for spiritual exploration. This is a multi-dimensional community for spiritual seekers, healers, teachers, and guides for the global awakening. With Soul Search, the spiritual seeker can easily search for and connect with healing modalities, spiritual teachings, practices, and practitioners. You can explore high vibrational online and in-person spiritual events across the globe. Within the Soul Search community, you can join groups or take courses for your spiritual journey. With Soul Search, you are part of an inclusive, growing global community for consciousness. For spiritually conscious practitioners, Soul Search connects you to a global audience seeking your services. Build your credibility with a robust profile that demonstrates your expertise and experience. Post client reviews, articles, videos, photos, and audio. You can create secure and private online communities for your groups and clients. Be a part of an awakening community for spirituality where you can collaborate and connect with practitioners and seekers. Whether you are a spiritual seeker, healer, or just curious, join soulsearch.io today. Don't miss out on this opportunity to be part of our high vibrational community for the global awakening. We're excited to be connecting with your soul and radiant light.
And we're going to be talking about Soul Search throughout the whole weekend because this is the next step. You know, we started the Global Peace Tribe to create online events to stay connected. Now, Soul Search is the way that you can find the right healers, the right community, create your own groups. It's wonderful. And Tangela, as the founder and creator of Soul Search, tell us just a little bit about a good way for people to get started.
Sure. Thanks so much, Scott. So yes, Soul Search is really your online multidimensional community for spirituality and consciousness. If you're looking to connect with a spiritual practitioner or a healer, we have incredible practitioners, including Raquel, on our platform. You can explore various different modalities, everything from quantum healing, past life regression, shamanic healing. There's so much happening on the platform. And also our practitioners have a lot of content. They have posted incredible articles, videos, audio files. There's meditations that you can access. And we also have a community, as Scott mentioned, and that's where we're interacting, where our practitioners post all of their events that are coming up. We have lots of online events, so no matter where you're located, you can jump in and attend some of our upcoming events. We have different groups here. We have a post about the event we have going on right now with Raquel, but we have a lot of online events that you can join at any time. We have different groups including like psychics and training or ETs and star seeds, as well as courses you can take. So, and you can just also jump in the community. I ask questions. I'd love to hear your feedback, love to hear what you're looking for, what you're seeking. So it's really a dynamic, growing community where we want people to come together and to have a safe and fun place to really connect and learn and grow.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. And we're about to get a wonderful example of the kind of people you're going to meet on Soul Search. Obviously, you just met Tangela briefly, but Raquel, I can't say enough about this woman. I'm so impressed with her ability to communicate. So I'm going to stop communicating and turn it over to Raquel. And Raquel, I know that we talked about you starting with just kind of giving us an understanding, a context of the different ages, the different astrological age. Of course, we all know that we are entering the age of Aquarius, but can you tell us a little bit about what the ages really mean and what the different ages have been so far?
All right. Taking a big, deep breath here. Because once I start, I don't stop.
Great. And thank you for the reminder to take a breath. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes. Just getting into the whole energy of this, because it's such a deep, deep, deep theme right now for the world. You know, this is so much more than an interview, so to speak. This is really us opening the door to something that is very profound. And at the end of the day, the ultimate reason to why we're here. So I want to invite everybody now that's listening and joining us to just get in the space with us of opening your heart and relaxing into the information that we are ready to come into. I am a 4th generation astrologer, and I am so passionate about understanding this language. This is a very intelligent system that has been designed for our evolution. There's no way, this is what I tell my students, there's no way to not evolve when you dive deep into what astrology is. So with this, I want to extend now this experience and share a little bit of this astrological journey with you and the wisdom and the guidance for our next steps. So I know that one of the big themes in the world right now is what is happening and where is this all going? And, you know, the short answer here is that nobody really knows. Nobody really knows. This is uncharted territory for all of us. And one of the reasons why this is such uncharted territory is because we are preparing to have a shift of ages. Now, ages is the name that we give to a very, 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 very long period of time of about 2,000 years. And astrology shows us that these segments, if you will, of 2,000 years, they bring to our experience very specific energies. Very specific energies that at the end of the day have to do with the evolution of creation, not just us, but all of life, and especially experienced here in this planet, because the alignments that we're speaking about are they're from our perspective on Earth. So these are primarily experiences that are happening with us. So these ages, they really have to do with the bigger picture and the bigger segment of the whys and the whats and the wheres and the hows and all of that. So think of, this is what I want you to imagine here with me. There is a very, very, very specific point, and you don't need to get really technical or understand about astrology, but there's a really powerful point that we use in astrology where is the beginning and the starting place. Think of that one dot, that from that one dot creates the 2 and the 4 and all of the geometries. The one point where it all begins is at the spring equinox. Now, the spring equinox is not necessarily a time of the year, but it's a spot. It's a point of intersection. I'm not going to get too mathematical here, but it's a point of intersection. It's very important, very mathematically calculated, and it's there. Now, we are the ones who shift because, well, there's a lot of movement going on in space, but there's one particular movement, this one here, that creates the precession of the equinoxes. This is due to the Earth's wobble, very, very slow wobble around its axis, and one revolution completes one cycle. Now, one revolution equals almost 26,000 years. So this is just a little tip of the iceberg here, but this very conscious tilt of not just the tilt, but also the wobble of the Earth creates a very slow movement of where that point of intersection is at. And every 2,000 years, it shifts from one sign to the next. Now, when we're talking about signs in this particular case, we are specifically talking about the constellations. So about every 2,000 years, the beginning point of it all, this is where spring begins, also moves and shifts to align with a specific constellation. Isn't that quite a wild ride? Just that in and of itself. So as we move through the constellations, we are channeling in the essence of that frequency into our experience. Now, in my astrology mentorship program, I have a school, an online school where I teach all this, and we dive deep into the heart, soul, and essence of all of this. It gets to be really fun because we work with all of these from a very, not only cosmic, but conscious perspective as well. So in light of this, I'm going to share this with you, that I teach my students about the constellations as being, think of an energy that is overseeing and parenting our evolution. And these consciousness are quite literally a consciousness form, of course, comprised by many stars and many, oh my goodness, I mean, that's just the beauty of creation. So the energy of the constellations really are a consciousness at the end of the day. And you can think of them as 12 right now. That's what we're aware of. We are going to be understanding more about our solar system and including more. But right now we have 12. And these are the constellations that are inside of the ecliptic, which is the path of the sun. So as the Earth revolves around and aligns, every 2,000 years, it shifts from a different parent to a different parent to a different parent, and a different energy, a different script that we are going to experience as humanity for our evolution. I mean, wow, that's pretty mind-blowing. When I first came into astrology and you know, I started to develop my own connection with these forces, I was so deeply humbled at the process of creation, of evolution. A lot of this, which is really quite unstoppable. This is beyond any government. This is beyond any superstar or anybody with all the money in the planet. Like, this is, we're talking about cosmic forces. I mean, constellations here. This is a whole, I mean, all you can do is just sit back and watch and learn. It's so inspiring and beautiful. So these constellations, they will channel their frequency to us, or in other words, we will align with their frequency, open up to that. And that becomes the filter for our reality. Our emotions change, our perspective change, our desires change. It's like we get a new script to operate in. And, I truly believe that we've been, many of us have been the same souls that in every age we have to go through this process so that we can experience all cycles of the human existence, So I truly believe that all of us, if not most of us, have been through all of these ages, going through and experiencing all of this. So when I mention very briefly here, maybe you'll feel a connection with these things as well. It's very beautiful. So the spring equinox point, that point of intersection that I'm talking about here, where it all begins, think of that as the humanities and Gaia's as well, umbilical cord. Is that how you say it? Umbilical. English is not my first language, so sometimes is it umbilical?
Umbilical.
Umbilical. Okay. So think of it, it's profound. Think of that point as being the umbilical cord of life here. Humans, Gaia, all of it. And when we shift from one age to another, we are deriving our nourishment, our fuel for life from that constellation. So with that being said, now let's keep in mind that about every 2,000 years, we shift these ages and we experience massive shifts in humanity and the way that we live, our lifestyle, our focus. And I'm going to start here because we are going to focus a lot on the age that we're entering into, which most of you have guessed by now, the age of Aquarius. And so the opposite of Aquarius in astrology is Leo. So if we look back about 12,000 years here and we start with the age of Leo, which is the age of Leo really has everything to do with the age that we're entering, by the way. These opposites, they always work together. So the age of Leo was the cycle, the average 2,000 plus years here that we consider the golden age. This is where Atlantis was at its height. Okay, this is where a lot of the memories come from. Even the energy of Leo is so much about that, discovering ourselves as gods, having that experience as gods. And there is so much of that regal energy that comes with Leo. And this is why so many of us incarnating here now that remember that so vividly, we carry this like we know. We got the sense of sovereignty and, the whole regal aspect of it all. And a lot of it is associated from the 12,000 years ago when we were at the age of Leo. It was at that time that the true origins of the megaliths, how do you say it?
Megalithic.
Yeah. Yes, megaliths originated from. This is where, think of the Sphinx. The Sphinx is such a great image of that, the lion energy, the Leo. So here we had a great era where there was enlightenment, there was power, there was sovereignty, there was a lot of, the golden age. The name says it all, right? And along with that, just like every cycle comes and goes, every empire rises and falls, it had to make way for the next one. And so at that time, we also had the fall of Atlantis. And this is very important information because this is where, as we open up to the age of Aquarius, we can have a lot of memories and a lot of deja vus, if you will, that may seem very cataclysmic and end of the world. And a lot of it is associated with that time because it marked such a profound time for us as humanity, the rise and the fall of Atlantis. Now, the fall of Atlantis also coincided with the next cycle, 2,000 years later, which was the age of Cancer. Now, this vernal equinox point, it moves backwards, so Leo, then Cancer. And with Cancer, we arrived. Well, first of all, with Cancer is when we had all the floods, all the big rains, all the glaciers that melted. Like that's when we had the waters rise. Now, interesting that along with the water energy, we also had the matriarchy, the feminine, the mother archetype come into the picture. And these 2000 years were also a period of a lot of enlightenment in a different way. I find it very synchronistic that Leo and Cancer are right next to each other, right? You got the archetype of the ultimate father and king and the mother and queen right next to it with Cancer. So that's kind of what we had. And with that phase, women ruled the world. And that was another phase of a lot of enlightenment, a lot of peace, especially because women ruled the world and matriarchy. There was a sense of family. All the civilizations, all the tribes were considered sons and daughters and family. Things were led by circles at that time. And that was also the time when the era when we started to create, like, when you see all these potteries and all of these statues of very fertile goddesses, the very fertile pregnant goddesses, right? That's from that era. And when the matriarchy ruled the world, that was a whole other dynamic. And a lot of it was centered around the Nile River. And through that, they had an abundance of food, and it was all about the nourishment. And they focused a lot, like the earliest developments of agriculture, and even the domestication of animals were also started at the age of Cancer. So very beautiful, very, very beautiful cycle over there. But just like every cycle has to give way to the next, as we transition from Cancer into the next one, that was Gemini. Gemini was the beginning of the fall of consciousness. So we had these two massive, incredible periods, the Leo and the Cancer eras, that were very based on enlightenment in their own way. But then came along Gemini, the mind, duality. Around that time, there started to be wars or power struggles or conflicts around that River Nile as to who would have a say and when or how. And so based on that, divisions started to be made. And really it was the division here of the left and right side of the brain, the logic mind. That's what Gemini represents anyway. But that was also part of the evolution. We had to go through that period where we really exercised and prioritized the development of language. This is a lot where we see the early hieroglyphics. My God, I'm saying so many complicated words today. The hieroglyphics and, having to use math and starting to do trade and commerce. I mean, these are all Gemini attributes. So it really began with that sense of power. Okay, who's in power here? Who's in control? And then the hierarchy began around that time in order to create structure. So Gemini had its function, and let me just take a look at my notes. Here we have the full writing systems come into the picture, the infrastructures between the tribes and cultures, and the first settlements that started to actually turn into cities. Now, these made way for what came to be next. Taurus, the age of Taurus. What was the big focus of the age of Taurus? Egypt. So now we're looking at the cities and the infrastructures and the coordinations and so forth. And with the age of Taurus, the biggest focus of the age of Taurus was the focus on the architecture. The age of Taurus was when Egypt was in focus, and Egypt started to bring back some of the memories and the structures back from Atlantis, and want to not only revive some of them, but also make their own. And this is where we see that a little bit of that discrepancy between why is one dated way back in the day and like one is much older and the other one is much more recent. Well, the age of Taurus was responsible for a lot of the big, Taurus has to do with earth energy. Think of rocks. Taurus is that immovable rock. And if you look at all of those big structures that we have that were built on with rock, like Stonehenge, for example, and so many of the big structures that we have, all with focus on Egypt. There was a specific and very key focus on Egypt throughout this time over here. And the age of Taurus also focused a lot on the body. There's a lot of development on understanding the body, and even sensuality that started to come into the picture around that time. And women were very much in power during that age of Taurus. Even if you look at all the kingdoms and even the Egyptians, all the phases of Egypt, there was always like this, strong queen or some strong woman behind the man. And so that was the age of Taurus. And that's also where money and banking systems were initiated back then too. There's a lot of focus on gold and precious metals at that time. That's also Taurus. So after that, we arrived at the age of Aries, and Aries was where we started to get really into the masculine energy. Aries is very masculine, and around that time there was so much focus on military and war, and this is where we see the focus on the Romans and the Trojans and the Spartans and all of these. It was all about the muscular men fighting, and even like the men were very worshipped in those days. Lots of statues were created in their honor. I mean, the Greeks around that time too were just like, it was all about the masculine body and strength. And so the age of Aries brought a lot of that, and it brought a lot of blood. It brought a lot of wars. And this was the 2000 years right before Christ. And when Christ came in at zero, how do you say, the midpoint there before Christ and after.
Between BC and AD.
Yes. the zero point, that literally initiated the age that we've been until now, which is the age of Pisces. Now, the age of Pisces brought a whole other aspect into the picture, because all the way up until now, there's been so many of the early stages and early developments of, growing food and creating architecture and killing each other to see who's stronger and all of that. But now with Pisces comes in idealism. It comes in awareness of spirit. And with awareness of spirit, we start to see the beginning formations of religion and eventually spirituality. I mean, look at where we're at now at the end of this. I mean, look at how it first started in the very beginning, and such a strong focus on the Catholics and the Catholic Church. And from then there was just so many other different religions that branched from that. I mean, it literally, this whole period of 2000 years, it was this mass focus on the human being understanding itself as a spiritual being, starting with religion. So with that, we also saw a big focus in some other influences, including Buddhism, of course, Judaism, Hinduism, Christianity. And even when we go a little bit further, we start to also look at different forms of spirituality coming into the picture, like the avatars. The avatars. I mean, if we look at these last 2000 years, it really has been a series of teachers that have been coming into the picture to help humanity evolve and awaken, that there's more, there's spirit. And with that, there's been a very slow progression, but there has been an evolution around that. More recently, it's been a really big focus to understand the psychology behind the human and just deeper aspects of deeper nuances of the human being. So it's just been this really interesting journey with understanding spirit and focus on spirit. So, you know, this is really the age, the last 2,000 years that we've been slowly progressing from religion and, of course, spirituality as well, but going through all the different aspects of how one can connect with spirit. And, you know, having a lot of focus on that saint or the guru, and to others, the avatar. You know, even Christ himself, for example, such a perfect example. And this has been the main focus of our the last 2,000 years. Now, of course, within every single one of these big, long ages, we have a lot of other cycles that are, you know, smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And you can pinpoint something to the day or to the week or to the month. And if you look at all the outer consecutive rings outside of information, these greater cycles that are enveloping, you get a pretty good picture of where you're at in the greater clock. So with that being said, even though we have these 2,000 years, of course, there's been many stages of what our experience of Pisces has been, you know, within all the other smaller cycles within that one.
Yes.
But before we move into the next one, then final one, which is Aquarius, I want to just check in here and see how everyone's doing. Scott, if you have any comments, Tangela, any questions, how are we doing there?
We're doing great. I mean, first of all, thank you so much. It's really interesting. And I want to remind everybody, whether you're watching on Facebook or watching on our Zoom room, start giving us your questions. We have an amazing person here to answer those questions, and Tangela and I are going to be collecting them for you. I do have a question for you, and I'll bring Tangela on to see if she has anything also. But on my end,
I have a lot of questions. Fascinating, Raquel. I just love you're taking us through these 12,000 years, these ages, and bringing us into the age of Aquarius. It's amazing. But Scott, go ahead.
well, mine is kind of just riffing on what I just heard you say. I had previously heard from, you know, in study astrology, that during the Piscean age, just before this one, we shifted from seeing God as completely separate to connecting to God through an intermediary, through Jesus, through a religion, through, you know, various gurus and teachers. And that in the Aquarian age, now we're going to the stage where we realize we don't need an intermediary, but the connection is direct. Is that accurate from your perspective, Raquel?
Did you say, come again, did you say from the last age of Pisces? Is that what you said?
That in the Piscean age, humankind.
Okay, just in general, yes.
Yeah, in general, felt the need to have an intermediary to get to God through Jesus, to get to God through a guru. Mm-hmm. But that now in the Aquarian age, it's direct connection.
Oh my God, I love that. Yes, I feel that so deeply. It warms my heart because it really is about understanding that every cycle has its purpose. You know, like we could never expect to jump from the bloodthirsty and carnal masculine energy of Aries straight into the enlightened version of ourselves. Like we have to have these stages where we experience ourselves as all these different energies so we can have a full experience of evolution. So it's very beautiful. It's very beautiful to honor all the stages, and you can apply that to your individual life as well. Like you would never have gotten here to where you were at today if it wasn't for the series of events that happened since 2020. You know what I mean? So everything's absolutely perfect. And the age of Pisces really prepared us for this new stage that we're entering, which at its apex, at its heart, is enlightenment. You know, Aquarius is an energy that is associated with the higher mind. And I was just thinking today, what a gift that we've already gone through the lower mind, Gemini. As humanity, we've already experienced the growth the evolution from that. And now we can access the higher mind. Because, at this stage, we are realizing that it's not all about love and light. Love and light is a feature of Pisces, by the way. And Pisces can get a little bit rose-colored glasses and a little bit too like, oh, it's so beautiful, and like that utopia experience, and this is one of the features that we do see coming in with the age of Pisces here. But even that serves its purpose. Like, how would we get here if we didn't know that this was an option? So we start to look at this so that we can come over here. And in this quantum leap, we experience our evolution. So one of the features of Aquarius is this enlightenment. It's the mind of God. It's very much of a cosmic awareness. Do you know what the symbol for Aquarius is?
Tell us.
Those little, right? The little wavy.
And I never knew what those were, actually.
Now, a lot of people think it's water, but it's not. That was a misconstrued definition by the old patriarchy that took over the astrology for a little period of time. But that's the cosmos. This is literally the vibrations of the cosmos and the information that is being broadcast through these waves of frequencies. And that, my friend, is the essence of Aquarius. Aquarius is information, but it's information that's coming directly from there. So yes, we will see, and we are already seeing now, even as we speak, we are seeing a quantum leap in our capacity to understand things, to see things. It's this burst that's starting to happen, and it's just the beginning. This burst that's starting to happen where overload of downloads of information is coming to us. And with that information, yes, the best version of ourselves are striving to use it to create a better future and the beginning of this new era. Look at the good that we can do for the world and humanity when we use this energy for good, this wisdom, this intelligence. Now, of course, Aquarius also has its shadow side, just like all the other energies do. But at the end of the day, and to answer your question, we are at a time that we're ready to understand what it's like to know ourselves as consciousness. And the whole paradigm even of having to channel something per se is changing, or channeling energy, or channeling a person. Like, this is all changing. We are realizing that it's all just one big database of information, and all we have to do is plug in there, and we're, oh yeah, I had a past life here. Oh yeah, I can talk to that person there. Oh yeah, I'm channeling the sun. It's a cosmic database bank. And when we plug ourselves into that, this is where we experience that enlightenment. So the age of Pisces, in talking to a god or to an outside force, or even to a master, even to an angel or to a guide, it all served its purpose. And now we're starting to play on a whole other ball game or field. And we're starting to invite into our experiences completely new dynamics, new rules of the game that we are working with now. So it's all going to be different from here on out.
Wow, Raquel, that's amazing. I'm just like really excited about what you're saying in terms of these new rules that we're stepping into. How does that relate when you started with talking about the age of Leo, and that was this golden age that occurred 12,000 years ago, and then now we're stepping into this new, is this going to be a new golden age for us? Are we able to
love that you asked that.
And are we getting, these bursts of downloads and information? Are we, is it similar to like being able to remember our time in Atlantis, remember those technologies, access those abilities that we had during those times and during those ages. And now suddenly with the age of Aquarius, being able to remember and being able to be, and I would love to hear
Angela,
that.
You're so tuned in. I love that question. It almost makes me want to cry, because it was like the main focus of my meditation today around this, as I was preparing for the show, was really with this aspect of, You know, in the greater cycles, we have this rise of consciousness and fall of consciousness, where we go through these waves and these patterns. And the fall of consciousness really began at the end of the age of Cancer and the beginning of Gemini. And we've been going through this very slow descent. And you can see that clearly from even just going back to our history, looking at some of the barbaric, you know, expressions of humanity and so forth. But reaching to this place where we are considered to be at the lowest point of consciousness. And I was deeply meditating with that. And, you know, it just popped into my head. That's not all true. Why? In astrology, and all astrologers are going to validate this. This is a very, very important thing in astrology. Whenever you're working with an energy, with a sign, you always take into consideration the opposite polarity, because they work together. They work together. So there is absolutely a linkage, a direct linkage to the age of Leo. And through that, we have access to, yes, experience an enlightened version of the age of Aquarius. Well, first and above and foremost, enlightenment is the signature of Aquarius. Now, if we access this energy correctly, and if we bridge, if we connect with this opposite, this mirror, which was the age of Leo, we can absolutely not only channel the, you know, here goes the word channel again, but not only connect with the same frequency of sovereignty, for example. That's why that's so big right now, sovereignty, and, you know, power through the I am, and a very beautiful state coming in here of enlightenment, not enlightenment. What's the word that I was looking, but yeah, it's a form of enlightenment for sure. And if we can connect with that and take it a step further, combine it with the energies of Aquarius, which is going to be giving us technology. It's going to be giving us a lot of the mental abilities as well, because it is associated with the mind and the higher mind. We can absolutely, beyond a shadow of doubt, we can absolutely tap into that.
Beautiful.
And some of us already are. That's why we're having these experiences. That's why we're having profound experiences all over the world of awakening. Okay, this awakening is exactly that, is us bridging together these energies, these cycles, these stories, and then taking it a step further, using it now to take us into the next step with awareness, with consciousness. It's so incredible.
That's beautiful. And I love that connection, connecting us directly to that golden age and allowing us to take it an exponential step forward. I wanted to ask you about the age of Pisces, because obviously we're coming out of the Piscean age. And a lot of people, you know, refer us also moving into the age of the divine feminine as we move into the age of Aquarius. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, because I think, as you know, a lot of us who speak about us moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, we're moving more into a world of the divine feminine, out of a world that has really gone into the masculine in the aspects of focus on competition, you know, co-optation, you know, obviously, you know, leading to wars and poverty and environmental degradation. And obviously we've had amazing technological revolutions and development, you know, in all types of structures that we have: economic, government, education, health, but within a more masculine context, you know, and maybe more and more separate from spirit. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on that interpretation of the Piscean age, and on the thought that we're now moving into this age of Aquarius, where we can take what we've learned in terms of these developments, but now bringing in that feminine energy, moving from competition to cooperation, from co-optation to co-creation, to knowing all is one, moving into oneness, where we're taking care of the environment, where we're taking care of all of our friends and family as one. So I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that.
Yes, absolutely. The feminine energy coming into the planet now is very beautiful and a very big part of the process of what's happening here, for sure. I've been having my own set of experiences with these energies, and it's just been incredible. I bet most, if not all, people here on the show are aware of this to some extent. And this energy of the feminine coming into the planet now is part of one of the smaller cycles. This is not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily belong to the age of Aquarius, okay? So the Aquarius energy is not necessarily of the divine feminine feature. However, there definitely is the evolution of all the ages that we've already experienced and where we're at now, and understanding that the overall most important focus of the feminine energies and everything that we're experiencing right now is really the aspect of us coming into wholeness and balance. Okay. This is, in my experience, even of primary importance, even beyond focusing on the feminine, it's balance. We are never going to reach the stage of enlightenment unless we experience the oneness. There is no more male, there is no more female, there is oneness, there is balance. So we're just at that stage right now where we have to balance things out a little bit. And there's been a few other cycles, not meaning to get back into cycles. I can stay an hour here talking about this, but we've been under a very strong patriarchal hierarchy, earth energy, as the foundation for the structures of our society. Politics, financial institutions, they've all been based on a very patriarchal and hierarchical model. And we reached a point where we see that doesn't work anymore. This is primarily, at this point, I feel that it's primarily because of Gaia. Okay, this is an energy, a balance that is coming from Gaia herself. She's just ready for that. This is part of her experience and expression of sovereignty, just like we are having ours. So she is demanding balance. And we are realizing that we can't go on with the unbalance in ourselves and in the planet anymore. So in light of this, we are calling in a very specific feminine frequency here to balance all this. And I will tell you that from my personal experience, my greatest experiences with the feminine were not from a consciousness out there or in another planet, or it was directly from Gaia herself. Okay. And I've been having profound experiences since 2013, when I found out I had cancer back then. And that was a very beautiful opening in my life, where I had the biggest heart opening happen in that year of 2013. And because of that heart opening that I had, these feminine frequencies just bursted through and just overtook my experiences. And I'm like, hey, I didn't invite you here. What's this all about? Get out of here. I thought it was some crazy, like, black magic, or it was crazy. And they just kept coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. And at the end of the day, I had a miraculous healing happen to the cancer cells in my body. And I'll share that in another show. And after that, I was like, all right, I'm listening. I can't deny this. And so I've been working with the feminine frequencies very specifically ever since. And I will tell you that most of my experiences since 2013 in relationship to the divine feminine have been coming from the core of Gaia herself.
Amazing, Raquel.
This is where the new model for the feminine archetype is coming from. And this is where our relationship with the sovereign energy is coming from. It's not even coming from, other lifetimes or the Leo age. Above and foremost, it's coming from our connection to Gaia herself, being tapped into her and being able to understand and emit these frequencies as well.
Amazing.
So these are the energies of balance. Yeah.
Beautiful. And we have so many questions coming in from our Zoom room, Facebook, Unify.
Yeah, all
Start with
right.
one of them, just, following up on what you're talking about right now and the
Mhm.
power of the energies and how, Gaia has had this incredible impact on you personally, physically. Mark from San Diego, he's asking us, what is the action plan for right now? Literally starting now, then this month, year, and then decade. We can embrace the positive as our base of operations, but we have extreme challenges that seemingly threaten life. What do we do? What archetypal energies can aid us in healing society and the planet? So love to hear what you have to say about that.
Yes, that is another extensive topic, but it's the primary focus right now for everyone is what's happening and what do we do? This is really about understanding the reason why I shared with you so extensively about all these different ages and all these different energies is to help you understand the bigger picture. Because at the end of the day, as I always tell my community, it's all about the bigger picture. And if you don't have sight of the bigger picture, and if you're too close to the forest and that's all you're seeing every day, you can lose perspective. You can think that that's all there is. So yes, we all have to, as soon as we get off this call, we have our bills to pay and we got our things to do. Yes. But we do all of that with the bigger awareness of what's happening, so that we don't feel lost, so that we don't feel that we are a victim to all of this, so that we don't feel that what's happening. We can just relax into the experience. Now, I know that phrase right there, relax into the experience, is I could hear a lot of what? Why are we going to relax into the experience? One, because there is no way out of it. We signed up to be in this transition, okay? Thankfully, this time we don't need to experience a massive cataclysm. The earth doesn't need to go into destruction and chaos in order for us to go into the next stage, because we as a humanity are evolved enough to carry this through now with awareness. So, and this is the beauty of the stage we're in too. We can do this with awareness. So you have the bigger perspective and you know that it's all leading humanity into the next stage of where we need to be. There's no way out of this, right? It's got to happen. Now, in the process of it all, evolution happens. So part of the evolution that is happening right now is with our understanding of ourselves as sovereign. Now, a lot of us are still in the very beginning stages of that, but to some degree, I think it's safe to say that to some degree, we all know what this means. And we all understand this concept because there's a really beautiful dynamic in 2022 happening with the planets Uranus and Saturn, that they have been in a square with each other throughout the year of 2022. And this has been one of the big signatures of this year and last year as well. So this dynamic of Saturn and Uranus square is really the contributing factor to the control from the old, represented by Saturn, and the freedom aspect coming in by Uranus. So these two apparently clashing forces are creating a dynamic where a lot of people in the world are pushing their way through out of the old matrix and into the new one. So everybody has their specific role in this of how to contribute. Like I always say, I'm not supposed to be out there with the signs walking down the street. There's people that are feeling called to do that. That's their role. My role, for example, is to be here and to share with you the greater perspective from astrology. And we all have a role in pushing this phase through. So overall, I want to just encourage everyone that this is a birthing process. There's no easy way out of it because this is the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. And the next 2 years especially are very significant for that. This is where we're going to see the final stages of, a lot of the And this is not the official transition into Aquarius, by the way, but this is a very key stage of, we go through these like mini cycles. And right now we're in a very key mini cycle of the dissolving of the old. So for example, the old models, just a random example, the education systems, starting with COVID. Oh, we can't go to school. We can't send our kids to school. Now there's so many parents that are like, you know what? I'm never putting my kid back in school again. And I know so many parents that are being forced to find new solutions. They are coming together. These parents, I have friends who are doing this. The other day, I was sitting down in a public place and overhearing two women talking also about the same thing. What do we do with our kids? Why don't we get together all the parents and we do a rotational system where we can teach our kids, or we can, ideas are being formed, solutions are being formed right now as we speak. Our old banking systems and financial systems, I think it's clear by now, it's not working. It's actually on the verge of a collapse. That's absolutely perfect. We need the old to collapse in order for the new to come in. So in the greater scheme of things, this is absolutely perfect. Now, in the smaller scheme of things, you have to remember that everybody is feeling a lot of energy, period, very disoriented, and we have a dynamic where the veils are just kind of being lifted from our eyes. It's part of the disclosure experience, and there's a lot of truth being revealed. Really, it's really just us that we're starting to see more. So as a consequence of this enlightening, right, this quantum leap in awareness that's happening, we're seeing more. Because we're seeing more, there's a lot of things that are not pretty that are being revealed in our government, in society, in people, in our families, in ourselves. There's a lot of things coming up in ourselves. And at the end of the day, when you're looking at the smaller picture, what can I do today? That's my answer. Look at yourself. Look at how you are showing up to the experiences that present themselves to you. We go through many situations where we have to deal with someone who's in a bad mood or resolve an issue that has escalated and it deserves our attention, needs our attention. And, a lot of these things is not to be dismissed, not to be minimized at all. Oh my goodness, some of these situations, there are people that are, for example, with life-threatening diseases or conditions right now. Like there's some serious things going on. So this is not to diminish your situation, but it's to understand that this is where you are choosing how you're going to show up for every experience, because this is your aspect of sovereignty that's coming in. So the new human is sovereign. Remember, we are connecting with the age of Leo, that sovereign aspect that we talked about, and really bringing it, bridging it with the enlightenment that comes from Aquarius. And the only way we're going to do that is if we are present with all of our experiences. And Tangela, I'm going to conclude this answer by saying that there's a lot more in-depth information that I give on my YouTube videos. I do monthly updates about what to expect this month. Okay, every month is different. We're dealing with different energies. Every month is different. So I have a lot of free material that I offer with updates. And of course, you can always have a personal session with me to understand more about your situation and what's happening with you. But I will tell you that at the end of the day, this is really about how you show up for your experiences, because there is a lot of emotion that is being escalated right now. Think of that. Think of that emotion that is escalating in your body, in your mind, and it's leaving us no other option but to look at it. And at the apex of what I teach is to go through your experiences and not be consumed by them. This is an aspect of sovereignty, because when we learn how to go through our experiences and feel the intensity, feel the power of the moment, but not get caught up in the emotion of it, we can then learn how to use that same power, that same force to fuel our mind, our body. If you take out the interpretation from it, if you take out the emotion from it, hey, it's pure raw power. And instead of randomly just dispersing it into God knows where, when we get upset or we cry or we have anger fits or whatever, it goes somewhere and there is other beings that are harnessing that energy for us. But until we become evolved enough to understand the energy that we generate, we're not going to be able to learn how to manage it. And at the end of the day, it's not even about controlling our emotions. It's about learning how to use them. So again, it's a very extensive subject and we could go on for another hour. There's so much that can be said about this. And I do offer more support on this in my work. But I'm going to say with that, start with focusing on yourself. How do you show up for your experiences? How do you handle the emotions that you feel? Because at the end of the day, it's not even about the story. It's really about your evolution through the story.
We're not going to finish with you. We've got questions and more. But I'd like to do three things. I'm going to show you your website in a moment so people know how they can connect with you.
Yes.
I do have a question that I'd like for you to answer in a moment, and then I also want to offer a thought. Would you be willing, what you were just saying was so powerful, and I'm wondering if you could give an example, like a perfectly human example of, an upset that we might have, a conflict, a thing that is common in the human experience, and then what kind of walking that through, how do we do what you just described?
Absolutely, yes.
So do you have that ready or do you need time?
I do. No, I do. I'm feeling into it.
Okay, we'll get back to your website in a moment and my thought in a moment. Take it away.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, so, I'm going to speak from my experience, but also just knowing that this is what most people are going through right now. There is something about relationships right now that is one of the key focuses for us. It's creating that contrast and really helping us go through this dismantling process, right, of the old perceptions. It has to do with the bigger picture, and even relationships, our idea and our outdated models of relationship, it's all changing. So there's a lot of breakdowns happening here. So it's not about getting stuck in the story necessarily. Okay, I've been realizing even that sometimes I'm set on a certain opinion on a relationship, but then and the thing is not working, the relationship's not working. And when I pull back and I meditate on it, I'm like, you know what? That's not even what I really want anymore. And I'm like, oh my goodness, wow. So our whole idea is changing. So I want to just start off with not being too attached. Don't be too attached to what you perceive the situation to be. But with that being said, I'm going to share with you, and this can be applied to anything. It could be health. It could be anything you're going through. But I'm going to use the example of a person. And let's imagine a person that you are really struggling with right now. And I want you to take a moment and close your eyes and just kind of feel that, and just think of that person that you're most having a conflict with right now, or that in some way, shape, or form is hurting you, hurting your feelings, plain and simple. And I want you to bring that person now into your field. This is something that I experienced when I found out I had cancer. And, I researched Louise Hay's work, and I found out that where I had cancer meant holding on to deep pain of rejection and abandonment. Okay, the whole, like the ovaries, the uterus, this whole region over here is when you have cancer there, it's an energy signature of deep pain and rejection. And it's exactly what I had gone through all my life. I will share my story another time. I grew up in a cult. And when I realized that the cancer in my body was not the people, but it really was the emotion that I was holding on to from those experiences. So I was fully responsible for that in my body. And when I realized that I had no way out of it and I had to take full responsibility for my situation, I found myself every night before going to bed for months, and some people even years, because it took a few years to go through this process, but I would literally kneel down by my bed before going to bed, and I would kneel down so I wouldn't fall asleep and, wouldn't sabotage myself. Kneel next to my bed, and I would bring up every single person that had hurt me, that had brought those experiences of abandonment, rejection, abuse. And I would bring them up, each one, and I would stay as long as needed, looking at them in the eye and saying, thank you. I love you. And in the beginning, every cell of my body said, no, don't do it. I can't do it. That's not fair. Remember what you went through. Remember what they did. How can you say thank you? But deep inside, I knew that it wasn't about the story. It really was, like I said, about my evolution through the story. And my evolution at that time was to learn the deepest lesson of self-love, which at the end of the day really was nothing more, nothing less than allowing myself to be liberated from having to carry that burden, that memory, that emotion in my body. So really what I was doing there was the ultimate act of self-love. And at the end of the day, I want you to remember that, because when you come to your place where you're bringing that person or that emotion or that experience, your health, whatever it is, know that by coming to this state that I'm talking to you about, a full relaxation is the ultimate gift of self-love and an extension of your awareness that you are offering. Okay, so this is not about the person or this is the right thing. God wants me to love. God wants me to forgive. No. This is you. This is you giving yourself the gift of freedom. Freedom from having to carry the emotional burden from that situation. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring that person, you're going to bring that situation, and all you're going to do is you're going to breathe. Can you do that right now with me? And you can practice without thinking of anything. Just focus on your breath. And try doing that 3 times. And if you can, try to do that 5 times. Just breathe. Don't think about anything, just breathe 5 times. And if you can, 10 times would be amazing. And of course you can. So 10 times. And when you get yourself into the state of relaxation, then you can start to work with that energy of whatever it is that's bothering you. You can bring that up. And you don't have to expect that to just all of a sudden mysteriously disappear, but you can expect to have a greater degree of self-mastery over how you're experiencing that emotion. And with that, when you start to breathe in that way and just, eventually you're going to breathe and bring the experience as you're breathing, because you cannot hold tension in your body if you're breathing slow. And there is magic that happens. There's quite literally alchemy that happens when you can bring such a deep, deep, deep contrast with such a peaceful presence. When you're able to sit with that experience and look at it eye to eye and feel its power, okay? Feel its power. Even if it's a nasty one, Feel its power, but feel it with a light breath and a light heart. When you can create that contrast in your body, oh my goodness. Now we're talking. This is a whole other ballgame, because now you're not trying to control that emotion. You're not trying to distract it. You're not trying to even transcend it by being all love and light. You're meeting it face to face in wholeness, in awareness. That situation's not going anywhere. Well, guess what? Neither are you. Neither are you. And in that place, in that space, you hold peace, you hold awareness. And that is the next level sovereignty that we're stepping into.
Wow. You really knocked it out of the park with that, Raquel. I'm actually going to edit just that little segment and put it in our dynamic segments section where people
Oh,
can.
wow.
And yeah,
Beautiful.
it's a beautiful practice, and I want us to all be able to have access to it. And I'll send it out in an email along with all the replays. Thank you. There's so much more. I can't believe.
I know.
I do want to offer a couple thoughts.
Every door you open is a hole. What's that, Scott?
I've been making a list of all, and on our little Google Docs, so you're going to get to see all the appreciations that are coming in, and I'll add the ones coming in.
Thank you.
And we're going to have Raquel come back again in August. We're going to schedule another time to hear her amazing story about healing. And she, gave us
Growing up in the cult.
growing up in a cult, cancer at an early age, and so you got a homeopathic dosage of it tonight. But we're going to do a whole full show just on that. But to get more and all things Raquel Spring, it's her website, and it's easy to remember because it's her name, raquelspring.com. And there's a lot of good things here. I want to point out a few of them. She's very generous in buying videos. So last week she talked about the Black Moon Lilith, and people got really lit up all about that. So you can go in, learn more about that. She's got a lot of wonderful videos here. And also book your sessions. I mean, this amazing woman is available. I don't know how much longer she'll be available for one-on-one sessions because I think she's very famous. But you can still book questions with her one-on-one. And so you just, again, go to her website, raquelspring.com, and then, book your session right then and there. And there's, of course, powerful opportunities. You can get your natal chart, your solar return, your transits, a relationship reading. There's a lot that she can do for you. So,
And I'm just going to
Raquel,
add, Scott, my personal sessions, they really are this format, like exactly what you're experiencing here, this straight download, if you will. This is what you experience in a session with me, except that it's all about you. And so we go on for a couple of hours in diving deep into the core existence of why you're here, who you are, what you're doing here, what your next steps are. So just wanted to add that.
yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to share about kind of what you most enjoy? Like, are there particular demographics of people you most enjoy working with, or topics you most enjoy supporting people with?
It really is people that are ready to wake up to this next stage of evolution. By this stage, we are realizing that it's inevitable. So it's kind of like, how fast are we just going to get on board with it? And my passion is to help not only the individual understand that, but really contributing to this greater transition we're all into. So all of my work, my individual sessions, my school as well, the Learn Astrology, I have a Learn Astrology page. We get together with the students, and most of the students, they came in knowing nothing about astrology. Most students were people that had sessions with me, and they were so impacted by the depth of what happened there that they said, I want to learn how you do it. So I developed this mentorship program where I take people step by step in how I do it and what I do and how I do it. And there's different options over there. You can either join us in the live workshops, you can buy the pre-recorded videos and study at your own pace. There's different ways you can do this, but at the core essence of my work is evolution. So I'm always going to be bringing the greater focus to even the decisions you have to make next month. There's big decisions happening this month of July and August. I did a whole video called It's Time for Action, time to go, time for action for this phase we're in now, because there's so many dynamics that are having us make decisions, but it's always going to be counseling you from the greater perspective. What makes the most sense for you now based on where you're going and what the highest intention of your soul is. So whether you're learning astrology with me and getting that essence of what every astrological component means, or whether you're having a one-on-one session with me, we go deep.
Yes, and I would just like to second that, as someone who has had the honor and the privilege of working with Raquel and having a one-on-one session with Raquel. I mean, she is, as you could see here this evening, I mean, she is an astrologer from the quantum level, where she is really working with you in depth to connect you to the evolution of your soul, which I think is just so powerful, because the evolution of our soul is such a huge and immense bringing forth of who we are in this cosmic consciousness. And she really works to connect that evolution to what is happening in the world, what is happening through these ages, and connecting who we are at so many different levels. So it's just like this really incredible cosmic reading where you're really able to be connecting to your superconscious and to your higher self, because she's not just reading who you are in this moment. She's reading who you are as your higher self, in the full consciousness of who you are, in that evolution of who you are. And it's really incredible. And Raquel, so thank you for sharing your gifts with the world. Really amazing.
Wow, thank you, Tangela. Oh, that was so beautiful to hear. Thank you. But that's exactly the experience. I mean, everybody that comes for sessions with me, they tell me the same thing. This was a life-changing experience. So yeah, to get that download directly from the intention of your soul and then make your decisions based on that, it just adds more meaning to your experiences, and it gives you more direction as well. Yeah,
Definitely.
Raquel, thank you so much. Everybody stick around, because we are going to transition into spending a little bit of time honoring Celestine Star. But let's one more time just all twinkle and send Raquel our appreciation, our love. I see people are twinkling away. There's Eleanor twinkling, and Dr. and Mrs. Future are going to put a few of our twinklers. So everybody,
and I
turn
want
on your
to just,
cameras and twinkle.
so sweet. Look how beautiful. Oh my gosh. All these
Here's
beautiful
Mark.
faces. Oh
Yep.
my God.
And
Let
here's
me go to the
Julia.
gallery view so I could see everybody.
Yeah, there you are. You're getting
Oh
up.
my God, so much love, so much love. Wow. You know what? I just want to thank you for being here, for showing up, and for being so open and ready for this message. This message is not for the faint of heart, but it's where we're at. And you guys are just opening up to it and ready to step into this. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and look forward to many, many more times that you'll be joining the Global Peace Tribe.
Yes, I will be back. Scott will let everyone know, right, when the next one's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you all.
powerful transmission. Really incredible.
Thank you, Angela.
Yeah.
Love to you both as well.
I want to, before we move into the Celestine part, and if anybody is wanting to share a memory of Celestine, put it in the chat box. Let me know if you want to do it on camera, or if you just want me to read it, or Tangela to read it. And we'll talk about Celestine in a moment. But I just wanted to riff on one beautiful thing, because we received obviously a lot of information from Raquel, but we also received an incredibly important practice. And it is important for us to look at our shadow. And so I invite all of us, when we are pointing the finger at somebody or someone else, whether it's a public figure, a politician, or somebody in our personal life. Notice that. Take a breath, and then how can I pull it back and look at myself? And remember, it's never about doing it from a place of guilt. It's not about doing it from a place of shame. It's about doing it from a place of authentic desire to raise our consciousness, to awaken, to take those steps towards enlightenment. Now, I know a lot of amazing semi-enlightened people, and none of them got bopped on the head by a guru and woke up. The ones that truly are in higher states of consciousness, they've done the work. They've done a lot of self-reflection. They've done the meditation. They've worked with a coach. They've worked with a therapist. They've worked with people like Tangela and Raquel. It's work to go in and look at our shadow. Again, not out of guilt or shame. It's the guilt and the shame and the fear of that that stops us from looking at our shadow. So here are 3 little words that I provide to all my clients. How perfectly human. You're looking at something you did that you regret. How perfectly human. You're looking at a behavior that you have that causes challenges. How perfectly human. Doesn't mean we condone it. Doesn't mean we want to continue it. It means that we accept this is part of my human journey. And like Raquel so eloquently stated a few times, we're on this journey. Even those different ages weren't bad. They were part of the journey. We're all on a journey to awakening. The more we can self-reflect with true self-empathy, with true love, with true compassion, that's how we can get there quicker. And actually, ultimately, with less pain. So I just wanted to kind of add that thought. And again, thank you, Raquel, so much for inspiring all of us. Wait till you see all the appreciations that have come in. They're really quite beautiful.
That was beautifully said, Scott. Oh, I felt every word of it. Beautifully said.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you inspired me very much.
Thank you so much, Scott. That was incredible and how beautiful. And both of you, thank you for just reminding us that, meet everything with divine love and compassion, first and foremost for ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And each other, when you see somebody doing something, see the little 5-year-old inside of them that just wants to be heard. See the 5-year-old who just wants to be loved. See the 5-year-old that just wants to feel connected again, right? Remember that anytime we or someone has done something funky, they were desperate to get some need met. The need for respect, the need to be heard, the need to be loved, the need to be understood. Again, it doesn't mean we condone hurtful behavior, but we compassionately drop into, oh my God, he's so needing respect right now. She so needs to feel safe right now. Right? So just try and remember that, everybody. And speaking of inspiration, in this past week, an incredibly wise elder who all of you that have been on Global Peace Tribe have met many times. She was on Saturday Night Live several times. She was on The Awakening World, Celestine Star, passed on the 4th of July. Leave it to Celestine on the day that we celebrate freedom to experience the greatest freedom any of us will experience while we're in human bodies, the freedom of leaving the human body and going back to the astral plane, back to heaven, back to the spirit realm, whatever you like to call it. And as fate would have it, our beloved Tangela was there with her as she passed. So Tangela, I'm going to turn it over to you for a moment to share a little bit about this incredible experience you had.
Well, thank you, Scott. For those of you who know Celestine or who've experienced her on this show or on other shows, I mean, she was such a beacon of light, a powerhouse, a way shower, a renegade. Raquel Celestine also grew up in a cult. She had her own personal challenges throughout her entire life. And she was so brave in coming forth and so committed to really bringing forth the knowledge and the connection of cosmic union, our oneness with all of our star families and star kin. And she was really for like this next stage we're in now, in this age of Aquarius, and in this age of Aquarius, as you were talking about, and bringing forth these connections to all of humanity. And, I loved her so much. And I had the pleasure of just being able to spend so much time with her recently. She was so excited about Soul Search and what we were doing to like bring consciousness out into the world more fully, and just so coming into her power even more and more so of her role in it. And it was very sudden. We heard the news that she had some health issues, but she was feeling some pain last Saturday, and then went into the hospital and was, given the news, unfortunately, that she was going to be passing in a few hours. And Deborah Giusti and I actually went to the hospital and were there for her transition. And it was really, again, a cosmic experience, because she is such a cosmic being. She is already a traveler of the many worlds, of the multi-dimensions. So she had cosmically aligned all of this, even though, we have our own human emotions of sadness and pain and anger, about, where is she going? Why is she leaving? But it was just very clear as we were going to her, and it was very clear when I walked in that, the powerhouse that she is now moving in to this new transition, into this new transcendence of the glory of her soul, continuing to do her work as she is meant to do, even more powerfully from the multi-dimensions. So it was really a huge honor and privilege for me to be there with her in her last hours, and to hold the light and hold a portal open for her, as all of her loved ones, all of her beloveds were calling in from all over, saying poetry, giving words of love, just giving their thanks and gratitude for her friendship and her love and her compassion and her support through the years. It was just an incredible outpouring of love that was just felt, by everyone. There was just a few of us in that room, Celestine's daughter, her partner, and Deborah and I, and then two other friends came at the very end. And it was just so beautiful that she chose to move on in a quick way that may be shocking for those of us who are here, but it was her soul's choice to make that transition quickly on Liberation Day, on Independence Day, celebrating her ultimate freedom, her ultimate liberation. And so for me, it was my honor and privilege to be there with her, celebrating her in her transcendence, in her freedom, in her liberation, in the glory of her soul, of who she is and always will be. So Scott, it was just an incredible experience. And I know that all of you here who know and love Celestine have much to share as well. And I would love to, hear and celebrate with all of you who she is.
Yeah. Thank you, Tangela. So yeah, if people want to share a little bit, let me know soon. Otherwise, we're going to wrap up tonight's show. We are going to continue the celebration of Celestine throughout the weekend. And so I'll take this moment to just kind of share about tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we're going to continue celebrating Soul Search. All of the guests are people that are connected to Soul Search. In addition, I also have invited Kimberly Meredith, who's going to do some healing work for people. So you're going to get more tips and tools and practices for how to enjoy life to the fullest, how to make your way through these times. As always, it's Saturday night, so we're going to have music. We have live music coming on with two amazing guys who also have great stories. And I just today asked Christine Tullis, who plays a beautiful harp, and she's going to join us. And in the middle of the show, we will go into the Celestine section. Christine will play her harp, and that's when people have an opportunity to share some memories of Celestine. So you can also join us tomorrow night for that. I'll share a little bit about my experience. I knew Celestine for at least 30 years, and somebody asked me today when we first met, and I don't even remember. I mean, we go way back. Her birthday was December 24th. Mine is December 25th. And so we frequently would have joint birthday parties on or around our birthdays. She was very close to my wife. And because Celestine was such a multidimensional being, extremely advanced in multidimensional reality, and I'm going to put a link into the chat box of a video that you can watch. It's an interview that I did with Celestine not long ago. I did it on December 26th, 2 days after her birthday. And it's just Celestine sharing her whole life story, all about her connection to the galactic family, her multi-dimensional being. It's a powerful hour. Two things I want to share. One is that when my wife died, Celestine was right there and did a lot of medium work, helping to allow Suchi, my wife, to share messages to myself and to others. And I also want to share that I had a bit of a mystical experience. I realize now that it was especially mystical. I was walking my dogs maybe 7 or 8 months ago, probably in November. And I can remember the moment, I can remember the spot that I was where I just got, like Suchi or some being said, you must do a solo session just with Celestine as soon as possible. And it was so clear that so I wouldn't lose it, I stopped walking the dogs for a minute, got on my cell phone and texted her, Celestine, I want to do a solo show just with you. And that's what led to the December 26th show, which again, I'll put the link in so people can go back and watch that. And I've posted that quite a bit this week, and a lot of people have watched it and said, oh my God, it's amazing. So it's important for us to follow those impulses. When we get that clarity, when we get a message like that, especially when it comes out of the blue. I was walking my dogs, I was looking at these clouds or whatever, and it came in like, whoosh. So when we get those messages, we have to act on them. Because of course, it was on some level, Celestine had just celebrated what would be her last birthday, and it was important to get her story on camera for our Global Peace Tribe. So those are a couple things that I wanted to share. I'm going to bring Tangela on. Oh, and one other thing, Tangela, that you may want to share is Melissa, who, of course, is your dear friend, had an incredible experience of Celestine coming to her. And so you want to share a little bit about that? Because Melissa is going to join us tomorrow night now.
Sure, I'm happy. And for those of you who may know Melissa, she was actually on the Sacred Sundays show last Sunday. And she's an incredible quantum Akashic Records healer and spiritual teacher and a very close friend of mine. And so when Celestine passed, she did call me to see, how are you? How's everything? And we were, speaking about Celestine. She did meet her just 2 times briefly when Celestine came to Sedona. So she did meet her, but there was no strong, she said, as soon as I met her, I loved her. But, she's like, but I never, she didn't get to know her on this human plane. And so we spoke about Celestine, and I was just like, I really feel like she just went straight to the light, and, I'm just celebrating who she is and holding that energy and resonance. And the next morning when I woke up, I received a message from her that morning in her meditations, Celestine came to her very strongly and gave her these very profound, incredible messages, telling her, one, that she was coming through to give her these messages because the 3 of us are actually connected, from Lyra as Lyrans. And so we have this incredible multidimensional connection that the 3 of us have together. And she was also coming through Melissa to give her this message because, Celestine is so beloved, and Scott, you've known her for 30 years. And there's so many people within the spiritual community who've known Celestine for 20 years, 30 years, huge amount of, experience and connection shared. And so she was like, I'm just coming through to you because, you don't have anything. You don't want anything. We don't know that much. I'm just coming through to you as a clear channel and giving you this message that I went straight to the light. I went straight and even when, they came into the room, I was already doing the work, and I went straight into the light, and I'm doing my work from there. And I just, I feel the, full power and love of source energy and how beautiful that is. And now that I'm here, I really love and appreciate all of my incredible friends and who you all are as individuals and how much you did for me and how much you continue to do. And she told Melissa that it was very much planned for me to be there with her, to also hold the light and to hold the celebration for her as she transitioned. Because again, even though I love Celestine so much, I also didn't know her. I didn't have this huge experience of 30 years with her. So again, she was like, there was nothing that you wanted from me. There was just love and appreciation. And so I was able to just be there holding that love and appreciation and light as all of her friends of 20 years, 30 years were calling in and sending their love and sending their messages. And Deborah was just conveying all of that by putting the phone to her ear. And even though she was already unconscious at that point, the doctors told us that she could still hear, even though she could no longer really speak. But it was just incredible to hear that message from Melissa. Melissa said it was so profound. It was a very visceral message, and so many people from all over have been receiving messages from Celestine. She's been visiting them, giving them messages, connecting, and I can also feel her very, very strongly, and she's connecting with me too. And even throughout the last week, when I'm having some doubts about something or questioning something, I could just hear her voice coming in and giving me a little push. And saying, what are you thinking? You know what to do. So it's just amazing. What a powerhouse. What a powerful being. She's always been an incredible multidimensional traveler. And, she continues to be that for all of us in even more ways.
Beautiful. Mark Danislavsky just wrote something very beautiful in the chat box, so I'll read it. He wrote, Celestine is focusing our hearts. Oh, here, let me actually, I want to... while I'm sharing this, I'm going to show her picture so we can see her picture while I'm sharing what Mark has to say. So Mark writes, Celestine is focusing our hearts with her wisdom. We may not have known her personally, but she's a wondrous representative of the collective soul. We know something beautiful about everyone through her. Mm-hmm. Beautifully stated, Mark, beautifully stated. And a reminder that, again, you can find, for example, we were talking about Melissa. So I just put Melissa into the scroll bar when I go to Soul Search, because everyone should be on Soul Search by now. If you haven't joined Soul Search, do it immediately. I'll put in the chat box how to do that. But so I put in Melissa, and there, not only you can see her main page, but you can also see some of the programs that she's done, her spring equinox ceremony. You can go back, you can see her when she was on the Awakening World. Same thing, you go, wow, I really want to learn more about Raquel. You just put Raquel in, and boom, there she is. And you can again find all things Raquel by going to Soul Search. So again, Soul Search is going to be the directory for the Global Peace Tribe, the way we can find each other. So very, very important for everyone to join Soul Search. All right, we're going to wrap up.
And as you guys join, we'd love to just hear what you like, what you're looking for, what your questions are, types of healers you'd like to connect with, modalities, or just anything. It's an opportunity, just like you guys are putting all your questions and comments in the chat. We'd love to just hear from you on Soul Search as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tangela. And get to co-host with Tangela again tomorrow night and again on Sunday. And we already talked about tomorrow night, but I do want to let people know we've got something really special happening on Sunday. We're going to be exploring who Jesus, also known as Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene truly were. We have a remarkable scholar joining us, Tazika Gabriel. She's the founder of Pathways to Peace, very well respected. My good friend Heather Salmon, she's not on the poster, but Heather's going to join us now. Christy Michaels, who runs all the Mary Magdalene events, is joining us. And Renee and Anthony, who are good friends of Tangela, are going to join us. And they channel Jesus, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene. So it's going to be a powerful conversation. And again, remember, all of our shows now are Zoom meetings. They're like this, even the Saturday night show now. So you can turn your cameras on, we can see you playing. We even can have some of you come on and speak. If any of you had wanted to speak tonight about Celestine, you would have been welcome to do so. So there are no more early shows. We're just going to go ahead and start every Saturday night at 6 o'clock. We're always changing and adapting and evolving. And please continue to share this out. Let people know about the Awakening World and Global Peace Tribe and Soul Search so that we can build our beautiful global family. I'll bring Raquel on one last time because we love her and she's still here. Um, any final thoughts, Raquel and Tangela?
Oh my goodness. Final thoughts, final thoughts. My initial thought here that I want to share is the importance of community. Really encourage all of you to continue participating, coming together like this, joining in intention, joining in where we are choosing to feed our energy into. And, shows like this, shows like what Scott has going, platforms like what Tangela has, a Soul Search. I mean, this is where you want to be, because this is where you have people that are like-minded, like-hearted. And my final words is just keep showing up, go to Soul Search. Check out that platform if you haven't already. I'm so excited to be a part of this platform and to support such an incredible vision, which is like that New Earth model of community coming together. So it's very amazing. Definitely recommend that everybody goes and checks it out, and just keep showing up to these shows, to these opportunities where we can come together, and let's just keep rising together. There's no way out of it. So let's do it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Raquel. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Tangela?
Yes, thanks so much, Raquel. Beautiful. And I just also want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us here, for joining us on Soul Search. And really, this is how we are creating the new earth, by bringing our energies together.
Yes.
What an incredible, powerful transmission we had with Raquel today. Just learning about these last 12,000 years, where we have been, and having this larger cosmic understanding of where we're going, and then having a practice that we can now turn to as we move in through these evolving energies. And so it's so beautiful that we were able to all do that together and connect together. And as we connect and we bring our energies together, we amplify these energies and exponentially bring them out into the world. So just, as Raquel said, by coming here and being a part of the Global Peace Tribe, we are shifting the world. We are raising the vibration. We are expanding the frequencies. And it's beautiful. And I love being a part of this with you, Scott. Thank you so much, Raquel. And thank you all, everyone here. So inspiring and beautiful always to be with all of you. So thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, both of you. And most of all, our beautiful, beautiful tribe. And let's just keep growing it out. I just put into the chat box how you can join Soul Search, a little bit more about Raquel. I know several of you have said that you want to get sessions from her, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, and if you go to Soul Search and type my name, you can see through. Actually, Tangela, I just updated my profile today. So there's a video there. Yes, I put an About Me video. I put pictures. I mean, you get the full thing. If you go to Soul Search and search for my name, you have it all there. So yeah.
Perfect. You go to soulsearch.io, just go to our homepage, and if you put in Raquel Spring, boom, you'll get right to her, and you'll see incredible videos that she's posted, learn all about her, and you can connect with her directly through there. So, and we have a lot more fun things coming up with Raquel as well. We're going to be doing a large online conference with Raquel and many of our other platinum practitioners on Soul Search platform. That will be taking place October 15th and 16th, a weekend. So that'll be another great time and place to be connecting with Raquel through this online conference, as well as another upcoming online retreat in December. So we have a lot of exciting events coming up. It's going to be fun.
Speaking of retreats, we are also planning the first Global Peace Tribe retreat. Somewhere around October 20th to 25th in Raquel Land in Sedona.
We're going to be doing it in Sedona.
And
right, come on.
Cornflower and Kristen Hoffman are going to be there playing music. And so everybody put that in your calendars. We'll get more details too over the next few weeks. But it's going to be approximately October 20th to the 25th, Global Peace Tribe Retreat in conjunction with a music festival that Tangela and our good friend Neil Gar are putting together. So more and more is happening, and definitely join us.
Yeah, so Soul Search and Portal to Ascension, we are again also collaborating and not only organizing this online conference, but as well workshops throughout the week in Sedona and this super conscious music festival in Sedona, where we will be having a lot of our beloved friends and incredible musicians joining us in celebration. And so we're really excited. And also, as a part of all of this, we're going to be doing this Global Peace Tribe Retreat in Sedona as well. And I'm sure it'll be the first of many, not just in Sedona, but all over in many vortex spots around the country and maybe around the world. So
And I see Mark Janisovsky, one of our favorite people, just got a gig in Phoenix.
wow.
He's a musician on the 22nd of October. So after you do your gig, you can just shoot right back up, Mark. That's going to be perfect.
Wonderful. We'll see you in Sedona, Mark.
And I'm going to go to gallery view. So turn on your cameras, everybody. We always like to close out. There's Dr. and Mrs. Future. Hey, I love those guys. And I love all of you. It's good to see all of you. Turn on your cameras. Twinkle goodbye. And we look forward to seeing all of you, hopefully tomorrow night and again on Sunday. God's blessings, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.